Yes, everyone, welcome back to 5. Stephen Howson, Anton Ferdinand. Today we're going to talk about another 3 youngsters. And we're going with centre-halves. You used to be a centre-half, remember that?
Used to be, yeah. Long time ago, I'd say, at the top.
Wasn't that long ago.
No, I'm joking. No. three years retired. Still think I can move. Still think I can do bits. But sometimes the mind says yes, but the body says no.
I'm looking for some insight then in what makes these 3 that we're about to talk about, the special ones that we're about to talk about. Levi Colwill, the first one that we're going to be talking about. Earlier, you said to me, Rolls Royce of a defender. I knew someone else who was called a Rolls Royce of a defender. Is he in that sort of mould, do you think?
He's definitely got the attributes to be that sort of mould. I think when I looked at him and watched him, the first thing that I saw from him was his presence, his stature, his build. You know, for someone so young, 19 years old, to have the stature that he's got, you know, and he plays with an older head. He looks like he plays with an older head, which is also a good thing as a centre back. Blessed to be left-footed. There's not many left-footed centre backs about, and you know what it's like. Left-footed players look so much more cultured than right-footed players, so that goes in his favour as well. But there's being cultured and being able to deliver, and the ball at his feet is a major asset to his armoury. You know, he's very, very good on the ball. He's calm and collective, you know, and he's assertive with his passing, you know, and he's someone who can start attacks. So when you look at a modern day centre back, he's got everything to go to the very top. And like I said, the word Rolls Royce was associated with Rio. And he's got similar attributes to Rio.
Let's have a look at his defending. You spoke a lot about what he's like on the ball. This is defensive actions, as you'd expect, heavily involved inside the box. Obviously, Huddersfield on a title, well, probably more of a promotion charge at the moment, and he's been a massive part of that, but also involved quite high up the pitch, and I think this is a massive asset. Huddersfield play a really high line. He's getting about 1.3 interceptions per 90, more than 2 tackles per 90, and it draws the eye what he does on the ball, and we're going to look at them in a second, some of the passes that he's got, and the range of passing, sensational. But you've got to be a defender first, haven't you?
Of course.
And this kid, for me, he outpaces, he outmuscles, he outpositions. His reading of the game is mega. And I just think, I look at him and I think, if I'm a Chelsea coach at the moment and Antonio Rudiger's not signing an extension, I'm going, don't care.
I think I'm looking at this, right, and look his heat map. Being up around, he don't mind playing high, which is when you play in a Chelsea team, that's got to be one of your attributes as a defender. And that's one thing that also stuck out in my mind. He don't mind defending 1v1. When you play in the top teams, you have to be comfortable defending 1v1. You've got to be able to allow your fullback to go and attack. Because you have 60-70% of the football, you need your fullbacks, because your fullbacks become attackers. You know, the modern day fullback is an attacker, not a defender. You know, and I think to allow your team to flourish and to allow your team to spend vast amounts of the game in the attacking half, your centre-backs need to be able to defend 1v1. And I think when you look at the top team, United team, with Rio and Vidic, they both didn't mind it.
Thrived on it, actually.
Exactly, which allowed Evra, it allowed you to see the best of Evra. It allowed you to see the best of Rafael, which was going forward. And I think with him, he defends on the front foot as well. He's aggressive and he defends on the front foot. That's attributes that you can't teach. Aggression, you can't teach that. You've either got it or you haven't. But he's not aggressive in a malicious way. He's aggressive, he's assertive in the way that he defends. And when you do play at the top, you need that. That's a fact. And he has that.
Only just turned 19.
This is what I'm saying. He's 19 years old and got that. And by the way, he's not just holding his own in the Championship. He's blossoming. He looks head and shoulders above the Championship right now. And I think Chelsea have got some player on their hands.
I think there's a big decision to make. If Huddersfield manage to promote into the Premier League next season, Huddersfield needs to be on the phone. Listen, is he in the first team? Is he playing every week? If he's not, can we have him? because that's just going to save them 30, 40 million if they've even got that to spend on a defender.
Exactly, and
because he's definitely Premier League level.
I think he is.
And right now, Premier League level as well. This isn't us saying in 3-4 years he will be Premier League level. He is Premier League level right now.
And do you know what? There's one thing that I missed, which tells you about him when you're talking about the ball at his feet.
Let's have a look at that, actually. Let's have a look at his progressive passing. Are you kidding me, mate?
That's ridiculous. But do you know what?
These line-breaking direct passes and the switches, I thought there'd be more switches than that because it's something that really draws the eye. Unbelievable range.
But you look at these are balls that hurt teams. They're not like little 5-yarders.
There's not a lot.
There's balls.
Obviously greyed out the ones that aren't progressive, blue the ones that are, but there's so many.
Between the lines. Look at them, between the lines. The one thing that really caught my eye, and this was something I always tried to do when I was playing. Didn't always come off, but always tried to do. I tried to make my clearances passes. I tried to put my clearances into areas which will favour the striker or favour the player, the attacking player that I'm in the area that I'm putting it in. He's got that. These clearances, they're not just boom.
Look at him.
They're not just booming it out. And little things like that set you apart. He's not, at 19 years old. He's got the intelligence to go, okay, I'm going to put it in the area, but you know what? I'm going to put a bit of backspin on that. So it's not going to go out. So it makes it hard for the defender. Or my clearances are going to go into my striker's chest or into my striker's feet.
If Huddersfield come up, he's going to be playing against teams that are living on the halfway line. That is probably going to be one of their primary routes of attack next season if they're in the Premier League. If he goes to Chelsea, the same thing. In those big games, this is an asset.
100% is an asset. It's something that everything you're seeing on this screen, the stats that you're seeing, and from what I've seen, he's a top 4 player. He's a top 4 club player.
Joe, we haven't spoken about as well, and this is an attribute of your kids, dribbling and stepping out with it. And he's got that and all.
Rolls Royce.
There's something about, Rio had the same thing where he looked like he's got days on the ball. Anton, who has days on the ball in a championship? Literally nobody. No. How is he doing this at centre half and doing it so effectively?
Because he's working hard. He's grafting. The best players in the world that have time on the ball when it's frantic, they've sprinted to get into a position to get there where other people are maybe jogging. They sprint. He might be sprinting out here when the goalkeeper's got the ball or the ball's getting passed back to the goalkeeper. He might be here, but he might be sprinting to there. He sprints to there, he gets the ball, he's got more time. It might be a little 5-yard move up here. He's not ambling into that area. He's sprinting, which then gives himself more time.
And a great first touch gives him even more time on the ball, gives him that even more, and good dribbling ability.
But what I've seen is he defends first, which nowadays you don't really see. You don't really see much of that. Defend first, play second. Players want to play first, defend second. He's defending first.
I love what the Championship's becoming in terms of a bit of a breeding ground for young up-and-coming talent. Right then, you got another centre-half in mind. Who's this kid?
Marc Guehi. Been really, really impressed with him. His debut season in the Premier League at Palace. Playing for a manager who absolutely loves him.
Vieira's impressed me.
He's been fantastic. Vieira's been fantastic.
And relying on young talent like that as well.
21 years old, by the way. England captain, England captain. He's been captain for all of his England teams, by the way.
That happens a lot, that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Someone just gets the armband and keeps it.
He was captain. He's been captain for Palace a few times this year as well.
Move,
so that tells you the stature of this kid. And I call him a kid because he's only 21, but he's actually a man on the pitch. He's quick. He's strong, but you know what's impressed me more than anything at his young, tender age? His decision making, when to go in, when not to. You don't see him You don't see him getting into positions where you think, oh, where's he going? Where a lot of young centre backs, you can critique them and go, okay, maybe he shouldn't have gone in that
Bit
time.
giddy there, maybe.
Do you know what I mean? Where they're half in, half out.
Give me a player. Go on, who's he reminding you of? Which centre half?
He reminds me. He can be a better Joleon Lescott.
Oh,
I think.
good in the air.
Good in the air.
Good reader.
Good reading of the game.
Leader.
He's a leader. Good on the ball. Good on the ball. And makes good decisions. Joleon Lescott made great decisions. When to go, when not to go. Again, you never saw Joleon Lescott in no man's land. Very rarely you see him. Sometimes every player goes through that stage where they have periods where they might make wrong decisions because things happen in split seconds in a football match, especially in the Premier League.
But pretty reliable, pretty consistent with it.
Reliable, consistent.
That's what you need at centre half, isn't it?
Exactly.
You don't need 10 out of 10 1 week, 5 out of 10 for 5 weeks.
7 out of 10 every week, you've got yourself a player. And the fact that he's been called up for England tells you everything you need to know, you know. And Gareth Southgate saying that he's picking players on form.
I disagree with that in a big way, by the way, but in this case.
And that's what I say. I disagree because you don't do that. But in this case, I will say he's picked a player on form. And this kid deserves all the flowers that he's getting at the moment.
Fantastic.
As we're talking about defenders, there's a boy at United that you want to speak about who's meant to be the next top one coming out off the conveyor belt in terms of Man United products. Who is he?
Teden Mengi. Now, we mentioned your kid before. He is nothing like that. He is, if anything, he's more like Vidic. He is just a rock. He is walking aggression, walking tenacity, that real just urgency about defending. That's what Mengi is. He's got unreal speed. There's some clips going around of him chasing back from the halfway line and going to ground and winning it clean, which is always what you want to see as well. And getting right in front and taking it out. He's had 2 loan spells. Currently on loan at Birmingham. Maybe not playing as much as we would hope, but playing. And at Derby, obviously we know the circumstances Derby are in. He did the back end of last season at Derby. Mixed around in a few different positions, but when Rooney put him in the centre half, I mean, he'd only just turned 18 as well. 18 playing in the Championship in a team struggling. Yeah. He did sensational. And when he's played at Birmingham, he's looked good this year. Again, just so young and such a big future on him. I really think that this kid could go to the top. And as Manchester United are probably going to enter in some sort of clear out, you could see Phil Jones moved on. You would think Bailly's going to be moved on. There might even be a couple more get moved on in a bit of a shake-up. This is the opportunity for someone like Teden Mengi and also Deshaun Bernard, who's on loan at Hull at the moment, doing bits, become a real crowd favourite. One of those two's got to get a chance.
The way you're talking, would you say in the summer, because let's be honest, let's be quite frank, the United backline, the centre-backs are this season, for me personally, my opinion, have been appalling.
Varane's been poor for what I expected. I expected a lot more out of Varane. But I think the system that we're trying to play is just unsuited to the way Maguire plays the game. I think he excelled in an England team where he was part of a 3, and I think he excelled playing for Claude Puel's Leicester where they were a counter-attacking side. And I think that's why he looked good initially as a United player, because he was in a counter-attacking team. Now you get him on the ball, he takes too many touches, he can't play 1v1, he can't play on the halfway line. And I don't think Teden could take over him today and improve on what he's doing to a massive degree.
Would you give him a chance in the summer in pre-season and go, listen, if you do well, the shirt's yours?
Why not? What else is he there to do?
I'll be honest with you. I've seen little bits of him and he's really, really, really impressed me.
He's raw though, isn't he?
He is raw. But when you look at Man United's history of bringing through young players, it's sink or swim. He's been on loan, he's played games. Not being funny, the players, the position he plays in, the players that play there ain't setting the world alight. They're not saying, okay, well, this position's mine.
No.
You know, I think with someone like Varane, he would be okay. And I think Varane would be better with someone like him.
Oh, Varane could know that he needs to go, that he's allowed to go in for a challenge. Because he's not going to be thinking, if I get beat here, no one's going to be there to cover.
That's one of the biggest things, yeah. You see, with my experiences, the best partnerships I had and the best one I did have was with Danny Gabidon at West Ham. We were on fire the first year in the Premier League. Do you know why that was? I didn't have to worry about him and he didn't have to worry about me. We both enjoyed defending 1v1. We played the halfway line. I wanted to play at the halfway line because one of our best attributes was with the ball at my feet. I knew I was better than some of the midfielders who had the ball. I knew I could play better passes than them. There's no point in me playing them passes from the edge of my box. They're not as effective. But when you're at the halfway line, you're now playing penetrating balls, which gets the attacking players the other side of the midfield and playing between the lines. That was my favourite pass. I knew I had that, so I wanted to play high. But what allowed me to play high and what allowed me to stay high was I was playing with a centre-back partner who was quick, strong, and loved defending 1v1. And I was the same. So it allowed us to not have to worry about, I didn't have to worry about him. If the ball went down in the channel, yeah, I got into my position, but I wasn't like, I need to overcover this because he could get beat. I think Varane flourishes. He helps him, by the way. He improves him, but I think he flourishes because he can just worry about himself. At the moment, he's got to worry about Maguire. He's got to think, right, if I go too tight and I don't win that first ball,
is he getting back?
Maguire could be in trouble with. That's a lot to take. And as a defender, I tell you, I've played with players who ain't as quick. I've played with players who don't sniff out danger, who don't anticipate the next phase. I've played with defenders like that. It's hard to play with, especially as you're getting older as well. It's hard to play with, you know. I used to say to defenders, if I don't tell you, if like especially the ones who didn't have pace, people watching might not know, Malky Mackay, who was an older player when I was coming through, I used to have to say to him, if I don't tell you to go tight, that means I'm not covering, so don't do it. If I tell you to go tight because that means I'm covering. I had to sacrifice parts of my game to make sure that we didn't get exposed as a team or as a backline. When I started playing with Danny Gabidon, people started to see the best of me. Why? Because I'm playing to the best. I'm playing with my best attributes. And I'm showing people, okay, I'm 1v1 with someone. No problem, let's go. This boy with Varane, I think, could be a partnership that Man United, not going to say challenge, because I think he could be too young, but have some type of substance. Because at the moment, United don't have any substance, I don't think.
You can improve us.
100% don't have no substance. The middle of the pitch is weak. This boy's not weak. This boy's, like you said, tenacious.
Brings urgency, brings tenaciousness, stops us getting beaten, allows us to be able to play the high. Because Varane's no slouch. But if he's gone tight, if he's gone in, he's going to try and be the stopper. There's no cover. And we have been done up by that this season. But yeah, Teden Mengi, another one potentially to look out. You guys get in the comments, let us know. Any other centre-halves? I'm going to throw Dijon Bernard's name in there as well. It was like this between him and Mengi going in for me. He's built up a real cult following at Hull. He's doing bits.
What was the difference? Why did we go with?
I think he's like 2 or 3 years younger. I think he's just got that extra sort of ceiling on him. Dijon went to Salford and actually didn't light it up. And you think in League Two, then he's gone to the Championship. How's this work? But he's just stepped it up. As the level's gone up, he's stepped it up. And he looks fantastic. And like I said, the Hull fans are in love with the kid. And he's flying. But I think, Teden just edged it. But, maybe that age factor might make the decision for United. And they go, do you know what? No, let's keep him on the boil. Let's send him back to Birmingham or back to the Championship next season. And maybe it's Dijon that gets the opportunity to partner Varane. Attribute-wise, there's not a lot between them. Dijon's a bit bigger, bit of a threat at set pieces at both ends. So who knows? It could be one of them that gets the opportunity. I think both of them deserve an opportunity in pre-season, and we'll see if any of them take it. But you guys let us know in the comments. Colwill, though, if you've not heard of him, you're about 6 months away from never not hearing about him. He is destined for the absolute top of the game. Another one off the Chelsea conveyor belt.
Yep. So Chelsea fans, if you don't know, you better get to know. Because if Rudiger goes, he's going to be playing. Trust me.
And if he ain't, someone needs to go buy him because you've got a Premier League defender right there.
West Ham, did you hear that? Did you hear it? Left-footed centre-back, bit of balance in your team. If Chelsea don't want him, let's be having you.
There's not many teams in the Premier League that he wouldn't improve in all honesty.
No.
Really, 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 really high ceiling.
It oozes confidence as well. That's what I like. It oozes confidence. Oozes it.
So let us know. Anyone else that can break into this little mould, get in the comments and let us know.